everybody, and we are here again for a new episode of the Figure Out English podcast for English learners. The transcript will be available as usual on figureoutenglish.com, as well as the learning notes and practice exercises. And let's start! Welcome everybody to our podcast Figure Out English. And today we are talking about traveling again because I would like to help you with your phrasal verbs. It's very easy to understand. When we communicate in our everyday reality, it is non-formal context. You probably know the difference between formal and informal. At least you need to know that. Because if you talk to your boss at your job, for example, or write some letters or create some documents, this is the formal style, and it's often written style. This is what we write. And we usually write in longer sentences and in longer words. But everyday communication, speaking, is usually informal. And that's why in informal communication we have to use phrasal verbs. It's not bad words, they don't spoil your language, as long as you can switch between the styles easily. But if you start speaking in these long words in everyday context, it will be again unnatural, because you probably know native speakers use a lot of empty verbs like get, like go. There are a lot of set phrases, and they also use a lot of phrasal verbs. And I would like to teach you a list of phrasal verbs concerned with travel. You can use these verbs if you write or tell your friends about your travels, if you have some communication during your trip. Okay, let's start. First of all, when you start your travel, you say set off. What time are we setting off tomorrow? It means what time will we leave home? What time are we setting off tomorrow? And then, for example, you take a taxi and you go to the airport to travel to some destination. When you get into the airport, we get into the place, it means we enter the place. You search for your plane and then you board the plane, but you can actually say get on the plane. We are getting on the plane in 5 minutes, hurry up. We are getting on the plane. Then when you leave the plane, you will say we are getting off the plane. Well, we have this long word debarkment, so we debark the plane, but this is quite long. They normally say we are getting off the plane. And then you arrive in your destination. You arrive in the city, you arrive in some small place, and you come to the hotel. And in the hotel, I'm sure you know that. Everybody knows that, so you check in. What time should we check in? In the hotel. What time is our check-in? You can say, for example. And then later, when you will be leaving the hotel, you will say, we are checking out at 10 o'clock tomorrow. If you just stayed in this hotel for one night. What time are we checking out? Or what time is our checkout tomorrow? You can form a noun from here. And by the way, please pay attention to this vocabulary. I hear this small mistake about the verb stay versus live from many of my students. They often say, we live in Ramada Inn, for example. But live means to live, to reside for a long time. Constantly, you can say. When you are on holiday and it's just a couple of days or a couple of weeks or even a couple of months, if it's such a long holiday, you should always use stay. Where are you staying? What hotel are you staying in? We are staying in Ramada Inn, for example. Or I hate staying in the hotels. We always stay in the campsites in our travels. Okay, and let's continue with the list because I have a couple of good phrasal verbs for you.
If you take a flight and you change planes, you will not say to change a plane. For example, yes, first you go to Brussels, then you change planes in Brussels, and then you are going to Cuba, for example. If you spend the night in Brussels on your way to Cuba, it will be called a stopover. I am stopping over in Brussels on my way to Cuba. On my way, it is also a very good phrase. I have a video on YouTube. Please watch it because you can use it in everyday context very easily. Okay, so I am stopping over in Brussels on my way to Cuba. And two more really good phrasal verbs. We say pick up somebody, meaning come to this place and put this, like take this person, from this place, for example. So the taxi is picking us up here, for example. This is the place we should be because the taxi will come for us here. The taxi is picking us up here. Or for example, what time does the taxi need to pick us up? What time should we go to the airport? What time should the taxi pick us up? And the opposite of this phrasal verb will be drop off. Please drop me off here. It means I will leave the car here. Drop me off here. I will just drop you off at the parking lot. I will take you to the parking lot and then you will get out of the car. I hope it helps, and this is actually a very good method for your phrasal verbs to learn them in topical groups. I am strongly against learning the phrasal verbs in lists and especially in alphabetical lists. If they are out of the context, you will not know what to do with them. But if you group them around some certain topic, this will be very useful because you will be imagining the real situations in your mind. This is also a good learning technique, and this will help you to remember them better. I hope it helps. Please let me know if you would like to learn the phrasal verbs of about some other topics, and happy travels!
Thanks for listening. Please visit figureoutenglish.com for a free download of the transcript and learning notes. Don't forget to share and comment. Cheers!